Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis McClure. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. This is Travis McClure, my co-host, Preston Guyton. Preston, how you doing today, sir?
Good, man. Doing good.
Preston, I'm excited for our guest today. Her name is Deborah Razo. She's the founder of the Women's Real Estate Network. She's an entrepreneur. And from a couple conversations I've had with Deborah, I can tell right away she's just a good all-around human being. Deborah, how you doing today?
Thank you. I love the good all-around human being. Thank you, Travis. Nice to meet you, Preston.
Deborah, I gotta say, one of my favorite parts of doing this podcast is I always usually, when we have a guest like you, I do a little like pre-discovery call with somebody and get to know them a little bit. And it's usually one of my favorite parts of it because we spent some time on the phone and I got to really like know you as a human being. And I really enjoyed our conversation.
I think we are each other's people, there's a lot of people that you meet and you're like, oh, we have the same ideas about moving forward, about, making our dreams happen, all that kind of stuff. So that's nice.
Deborah, tell us your story of how you got into this crazy world we all call real estate. What led you down that path?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I am going to say, because I have had a crazy real estate week. So sometimes you question, what is it that makes you, go down this path? And I'll tell you, it was actually kind of an opportunity in my life to start over. I think we've all had times in our lives when we had to start over. Like for some people, it might be a divorce or the death of a loved one. And for me, it was a car accident. About 13 years ago, I was a passenger in an SUV whose black tire blew, right? Just a blown tire, but we ended up in the dirt and the rim of the car went right into the dirt and it flipped driver's side first. So I got crushed. And I was airbagged to the hospital and told I had a broken neck. And it was just one of those pivoting points in my life, right? It took me about a year to heal. And during that year, I had a lot of time to think, and I was living a great life. I was already an entrepreneur, but the truth of the matter was I really had made myself a job. I didn't have a lot of spare time, even though I got into being an entrepreneur because I thought I was going to have all this time flexibility, right? And I was like, wait a second, this isn't working out how I wanted it to work out. And, when you're faced with the whole thing that life is short, you're like very motivated to make some changes. And that's what I did. I was like, I want to have more freedoms in my life. I want to travel the world. I want to show my children that you can do anything you set your mind to, right? And so I started on this journey, and the journey started by Googling passive income. I'm embarrassed to say that, but that's the truth. I Googled passive income and all kinds of things came up, right? Royalties, but real estate kept coming up. And I was like, I had read the Little Purple Book, God bless, Robert Kiyosaki, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had read it and I was like, I need that passive income. I want that mailbox money. And so after the doctor signed off on me, it was about a little over a year. I started on my education journey to find out more about real estate. But in all honesty, I don't think anybody could have told me back then. Really what I did is I started on my mindset journey because I had changes to make up here before I could make any changes out in the world. And that's when I started going to the Tony Robbins events. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, I'll be honest with you. I was going to all the events, and now several years later, I actually work for him. I help other people make their transitions, which is really, really enjoyable, really great. But at the time I was making my transition, and I was trying to figure out how to get that life that I really wanted. And if there's anything I know about real estate is two things, which is one, it starts in your head, right? It starts in the possibilities, opening up the possibilities of what's available to you. And secondly, if you learn anything from the ultra wealthy, is that money is made in real estate. And, I don't think that money is everything, but I do want to be rich. I want to be time rich and energy rich. And yeah, I'd like some money as well, but but it's the whole package to me. And real estate has that ability to give it to you. But for me, I had to go on this journey of not only real estate education, but mindset education.
Right.
And so that's how everything kind of came to be. Yeah.
I love that about your story. Even when we spoke last week, Deborah, the fact that you viewed as your mindset is like your foundation. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't put that first. It's like building the house on dirt. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
really, and I think that your connection to the Tony Robbins and his programs, that's actually a really important thing where I think, Preston and I talk about it, even just something simple as making calls every day. If your mindset is not right around that, people sense that through the phone,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's really just starting the groundwork of understanding that something is possible to you. I don't know you guys' background, but I'm first generation American, right? Both my parents were immigrants. I was very much taught, keep your head down, work hard, pay your bills. I think that was, like this was the beginning of me even thinking that the lifestyle that I wanted was possible to me. And, you have to start believing in that first before
Yeah.
you start actually making changes in the world.
So I think the other cool concept too is really you looked at investing first, but I think it's and I've seen other people I know and have been friends with and even had opportunities myself where real estate does lead you to where you can go from being employee to business owner to investor, right? And it leads you down that path. You said you looked at investment. Why'd you make the choice to then become real estate agent? What brought you down that path
Oh,
specifically?
wow. Yeah. So my journeys varied like a lot of people in real estate. Shiny object syndrome is real, right? So I didn't have much money and I knew I wanted passive income, right? I knew that was my outcome because from that year of recovery, that's what I wanted. I'm like, I want that flexibility, I want that freedom, I want that passive income, but I knew I had to have money to be able to invest in some passive stuff. So I started flipping in Los Angeles, and then I would take that money and I invested in buy and holds. I ended up investing in the Memphis market. So I still have a small portfolio of single families in the Memphis market, and then as my skill sets grew, I started developing as well and investing in multifamily. But along the way, I would have, some great years and some okay years. And I had an okay year one year, and my accountant was like, why aren't you getting your agent's license? You're leaving a bunch of money on the table by having, other agents represent you in the flips that you're doing. And I had thought about getting my agent's license, but it was just one more to do to add to my list. But then when I actually figured out the numbers, I was like, wow, you're right. I'm leaving a bunch of money on the table, and it's already things that I already know how to do. you
Mhm.
know and that's one of the things that I think is really interesting. There are so many agents out there, they have their hands on the pulse of real estate, and
Mhm.
they're not investing.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of my things that I preach. It's like, why are you guys not investing?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
It's yet another way to make your already great education work for you.
Mhm.
So that's how I started. I decided to get my agent's license, and then I started, selling my own products. And now I also help other people sell, their houses as well too. But mostly I do my own stuff.
Now, when you're in, so like you said, Memphis, like at out of
Yeah.
state markets, what do you just do referrals with real estate agents or companies there?
Yes, yes. And I was in Memphis before I got my license. And so all my contacts in Memphis pretty much have licenses, because I was buying from people there. I was using property managers there. So all my contacts there already have that. So it was really easy to refer people you're already doing business with because you know them. It's that whole know, like, and trust thing.
Yeah. Deborah, talk about REN, the Women's Real Estate
Yeah.
Network. What led to that? What made you
Yeah.
found that and start that organization?
Oh, I guess what leads to anything I do, I was frustrated. So I was flipping at a time when all the big Blackstone and big funds were coming into Los Angeles, and they were scooping up a lot of the rehabs at auction, at every place. And I was having a really hard time securing new properties. And the truth is, like at that time, I didn't have my own construction crew. I was still using hard money. I mean, people with bigger pockets and their own construction crew could outbid me really easily, So I was losing all the bids. And if there's anything, I can say is that real estate can be kind of mentally taxing. So like when you're putting in offer after offer after offer and you're not getting anything, it gets frustrating. And I was just really frustrated. And, I was still going to all the real estate club meetings, but I was feeling the need to be surrounded by my girls, like I was like, where are all the women, And the fact of the matter is I had met a lot of really great women along the way. And I just decided to get them together for a brunch one Sunday. And sure enough, like when women come together around brunch and champagne, we all start helping each other. I need a foundation guy. I have a foundation guy. I need an attorney. I have an attorney. We're all just collaborating and we're all telling each other what we're going through. And at the end of that brunch, I said, hey, you guys want to do this quarterly? And they were like, no, let's do it every other month. And so we started opening up our homes, and sure enough, there's always wine involved. And, we would just talk to each other about what we were going through. And at one point I realized I got to meet and know these incredible women, but there was a whole lot of other women that don't get to know them. And so I thought, all right, let's start a meetup and I'll have these women come in and speak. And we'll talk about their business models, because not all of them were flippers. Some of them, there's 2 women that own like 18 storage units. There's women that are note holders. There's it was a variety of women. So they came in and started speaking, and then somebody said, I want to open a chapter here and I want to open a chapter there. And it just grew. And the truth of the matter is, we identify with who's in the front of the room. And most of the time at real estate clubs, it's men in front of the room, but when there is a woman in front of the room and she's doing what I want to do, I can identify with her and go, wow, she's doing it. I can do it. Right. Yeah. It opens up that possibility again. And I think that's why WREN grew so quickly. And then of course COVID hit. we were all in person, and then COVID hit, and we're all online now. But and we're just starting to go back out to be in person again. But it's incredible network to be able to be with like-minded people, and that are juggling the same things you're juggling, right?
How many chapters are there now?
11 chapters. Yeah.
Shifting gears back to the real estate investment side of it, Deborah. Let's say I'm an agent. I'm listening to this. I agree 100%, as agents should, of, hey, you know what? Your words is, I have my finger on the pulse of the real estate industry. What should I look for in an investment property as a realtor? What's important to you when you look for them?
It's interesting. I've given this piece of advice to a lot of agents. Like, first of all, if a lot of the agents that I know that are interested in investing are usually representing investors, which I think is very interesting. Like you already are seeing what this investor is doing and how they're coming in, and you're getting an idea of how they're making money, right? So if they already have those kind of relationships, why not offer to partner, or offer, ask if you can shadow them, right? Find out what they're looking for. You already know a little bit about how they're running numbers. Ask if they'll share that with you. I know that when I'm looking for flips, I'll share my spreadsheets with my agents, because I want them to see what kind of spread I need, so that we're both on the same page with how that has to work. Right. So, I think that I know as an investor, we find agents really valuable to us. If you've got an agent that understands what you're looking for, and because we're multiple buyers, you can just make that commission again and again and again. But if you want to flip the switch and get over to the investor side, you also have that entryway to knowing somebody that could guide you in that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my advice.
What trends are you seeing in the investment real estate side? Obviously, the market's gotten weird over the past, my best word to describe it, over the past couple months, right? Even in the
Yeah.
past couple of years. What
Yeah.
trends are you seeing right now in investment real estate?
The trends are varying, and because I have a, like kind of a flipping side, developing side, and then I also have the buy and hold side to me, right? So on the buy and hold side, rents are really strong, right? So if you can get off market deals in multifamily, and you can or do some kind of value add on the multifamily side, you've got a really good opportunity there because rents are so strong, and there's no predictors that are saying rents are going to weaken anytime soon, right? As far as the flipping side of things, a trend here in California has been to add space. With the housing shortage, they've become really aggressive with with allowing building permits on auxiliary dwelling units, guest houses, and a lot of people are taking those guest houses, renting them out, making them short-term rentals or mid-term rentals. And, it's adding a lot of value to that property, whether you want to hold it or whether you want to flip it. You're still adding square footage and usable space. So it's been a pretty viable option as long as you have a property whose lot is big enough, and the city itself is in support of you building those kind of things. But those are the trends that I've been seeing, in those two ways. Yeah.
Do you in your area, do you see a lot of governments that control the rentals? Because in our area, so we're, southeast, we have a lot of markets that allow short term or allow long term. I'm just curious on, where you're at. Do you see a lot of that as well?
Yeah, we do. And, and it's changing all the time. So you really have to stay up to date with it because, some place where you could have done an Airbnb has now got limitations on it because they only want 30 days or more as a renter, So you've really got to stay on top of that, as well as we've got rent control areas too. So really it's your due diligence in picking the areas that you're gonna invest in, and that you're gonna whatever the outcome is, whatever the end game is going to be acceptable in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen that too in markets. I think Raleigh, North Carolina was a market where they tried to do away totally with Airbnb and a part of the city.
Right.
And then they
It's
ended up allowing it again because I'm sure Airbnb is something that their legal team is, whenever something like that happens, they probably find and show other people are renting, other companies are renting. So I know that's a challenge for sure.
Well, and it's hard to work against a city, right? I mean, we have certain areas here where even though our whole state is supposed to be for building auxiliary dwelling units, there are certain cities that you are going to wait a long time before you build one. And it's nobody can wait that long, so you really have to do your diligence in picking the right places to do, to do whatever it is your outcome is, whether it's short-term rental or, an ADU.
Yeah. I mean, that's permitting in general. I used to own a construction company, and we used to be able to get a permit in a week or two. And now I was talking to some of them, now they're waiting 60 days, 75 days on a permit. And I think that's across the country, right? That whatever you were, 3 or 4 years ago, the permitting process has become so much longer, with zoning requirements and restrictions and everything. Like you said, that stuff changes all the time, and you got to stay on top of it. And for us, our county is not a big. They say they put the information out there for you to know, but they don't make it as easy to find as they should.
Right. And when you're paying holding costs on something like that, you really have to factor it in, So, and for me, Los Angeles is an expensive market. If I'm paying holding costs, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I have to really be careful about being in a city that's really amenable and hopefully, quick.
What markets are you seeing right now? I know you kind of look across the country quite a bit. What markets are you seeing a lot of investing in or investment deals per se right now?
Right. Um, I still love the middle America markets. I think they're great. They're solid. I've had a lot of luck in Memphis. I get solid renters in, and it's been a wonderful experience for me. I've also been in Texas, in Houston, and in Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix is one of those markets that has blown up, and I was really glad I got into it a few years ago. Right now, I'm like, okay, is it gotten overexposed now, right? I'm not sure. And then as far as like long-term investing, I'm actually started investing a little bit in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has some incredible tax incentives there for investors. And the dynamic of Puerto Rico is changing because it also has some tax incentives for people who want to move there. But for the people that want to move there, there's a limit that you can pay anywhere from 0 to 4% in taxes. So if you are making a lot of money, ultra wealthy are moving there, right? The crypto kings are moving there. That there's a lot of people moving there, but along with them comes development and comes needs, right? And Puerto Rico has some tax incentives that are like you can apply for that'll help you reimburse you up to 40% on your purchase price and your rehab costs. Well,
Wow.
if you're making cash flow already and you haven't even gotten that 40% back, you're really doing well when you get the 40% back. So it's a really incredible market. And because I used to kind of curse this. I'm in LA, I'm flipping. Like I was a young investor and I'm like, oh, I'll just get a rental around the corner. I mean, because that's what I thought. People want
Yeah.
to see and touch what they own.
Right.
Right. But when I find out, like, I can't even make something cash flow in Los Angeles, and then I had to move outside of my comfort zone to get something to cash flow, which I ended up moving into Memphis. So, but I realized like mentally, that was a whole big shift for me,
Mhm.
right? Like I was like, wow, how is that going to work? Well, then once I made that work, I realized how to make that work. And now investing further away from myself is not, you know, not hard, not as hard anymore.
Let me ask you this, because I find that really interesting. When you buy, say, a property in Puerto Rico, right, and it's a rehab or something like that, do you physically go there, put your eyes on it, and get a feel for what this property needs, or do you have
Yeah.
trust in an agent that you work with in these other markets that hey, this is something I can make work?
Right. So the properties I'm buying in Puerto Rico are bigger.
Mhm.
So I do like to see them,
Yeah,
multifamily. So, and I also have partners that are boots on the ground.
good.
So I have that. Have I bought something just from looking at it online? Yes, it's been single family and in Memphis, you know, but I had already been into that market. I knew that area. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I had somebody I trusted guiding me, right? I think it would be really hard for me to just pick something out of nowhere that I have never been, but I know investors that do that and are successful. I'm just not at that comfort level yet.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I mean, we get them sometimes here. I hear stories from our agents all the time. Hey, somebody just called me to ask me to write an offer on this property. Sight unseen. It
Right.
happens all the time. So I had to ask once you
Yeah.
started mentioning the other markets.
So with Puerto Rico, do they like? I know some countries will require like part owner to be a citizen there. Does Puerto Rico require that or no?
Yeah, Puerto Rico is a US territory. So they're on US currency. You don't need a passport to go there. They've got Home Depot and IKEA, which are my two staples.
Yeah.
Their banking system is a little different. They don't have franchise banks same as the US. So they have their own banking system there. But for me, it's not really out of country investing for me, I mean, because it has so many similar things, which was a bonus.
Deborah, from the rent standpoint, I know we talked about investing and what the market has done to investing and the trends that you're seeing. What kind of trends are you seeing among REN with the
Right.
changing market?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys, are you seeing a lot more women entering real estate investing? Because I am. I
Def-
mean, a- and I can say this because I used to be one of the, like I was one of the first women's investment networks. Now there are several that are nationwide,
Mm,
and it was a growing momentum. I think women are, and we have all kinds of women that, participate in REN. Some of them are at-home moms that are looking to make some investments so that their families can have great vacations in the summer or whatever. And some of them are single moms that are they have to provide everything, right? So it's a real spectrum about, the women that are investing. I think there's some trends within women investors. Statistically, believe it or not, we actually do better than men as far as returns go. But statistically, we don't offer as much. Men have a little more confidence than us, I think, in that area. You're a little more willing to dive into things that you don't know.
mm,
And women, have a tendency to hold back a little bit, especially when the price tag gets a little high. So in our organization, we talk about that, and we say we lend each other our confidence, right? Because that's what women need to be able to invest. So I don't know, if you have wives or sisters or mothers that are looking to invest, but it's great to be in a community where we're all supportive of each other that way.
sure.
And that's what's been happening for us. And nationally, I've seen it change, and there's a lot more women getting into the investing community, a lot more couples, even, right? So finding a way to match, maybe the confidence of somebody going out there and doing the actual offers and everything, but whether you're turning it into a flip or whether you're decorating an Airbnb, there's the creativity and the collaboration that a woman brings to the opportunity. So it's different.
I think in general, I've noticed, since we've been in this office, we have a very lively office environment. And I think coming out of COVID, people got sick of working from home a little bit. I think the trend is I've noticed in this past 6 months, I've noticed way more people in our office than the previous offices I've worked in. I think people are excited about going to events and gathering as people again, right? And I think you're going to see more. And this is just my opinion and what I see. I think you're going to see more and more people wanting to get involved and be social because we really couldn't for the better part of 2 years, right? And I think people are excited about doing that again.
And we're seeing too, like so the who we coach with, there's a lot of other real estate agents teams across the country. And there's a lady actually in that, Veronica. She's in, I think she's in Orlando market, but she's actually, her and her husband are buying investment properties now, and they've bought, I think, two in Puerto Rico. And so anyway, yeah, starting to see a lot of that, a lot of women inside of or the coaching environment we're in, because it's teams across the country. And I see a lot of the women that are part of that sharing investment, things they're buying themselves. And so I definitely see a lot more women getting involved in investing in real estate for sure.
Sure. Well, Deborah, if people want to contact you, let's say they have questions about rent, questions about investing or coaching, whatever it is, what's the best way for somebody listening to this to contact you?
Yeah. So for REN, it's reninspires.com. And that's our website, that's our Facebook, that's our Instagram. REN Inspires everywhere. And if you want to just contact me, I'm at deborahrazo.com. You can reach out to me there and find out what I have going on. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. You've been a great guest. I appreciate you. If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you click like and subscribe. We always appreciate you listening to the process. Have a great rest of your day and have a great week.